Allow me to tell this story. This story revolves around how things were precise. I grew up in Fort Lannister, Nebraska. It was 2004. In 2004, I had been plagued with the unsettling, meandering urge to go on myspace, and I read stories about two college kids getting stalked by a serial killer. Whereas I saw the news reports. The news reports had went around about the whole entirety of the college kids going and losing their lives. Too many college kids warned. So many people warned the college kids about going on MySpace. MySpace had stalkers. So many students had warned the two college kids about going and like so many people came up missing. So many people came up missing. Entire college dorms came up missing. And so many college kids had been killed. And the last two college kids in the dorm, Frank and Beth, they came up missing. And when Frank and Beth were two Fort Lannister, Nebraskan college kids. And when everybody in town warned about it, Frank and Beth did not listen. They were killed. They dug too deep on their end. Frank handled the high school kids that came up missing. And once the high school kids came up missing, photos circulated on myspace. Yeah. Photos circulated on myspace about a few high school kids that died. The high school kids that came up missing were the ones who searched on the dark web. Hitmen, only to be killed themselves. So many college kids warned them. One high school kid was so many college kids knew about it. But when the high school kids were found in various locations, kids in town. One high school kid was killed and found in a local store bathroom. The police reports had covered the incident a year prior in 2003. And in 2003, a 13-year-old was found in a store bathroom, dead. The dark web was in fact gone and had so many kids killed. And there was a link on MySpace dating back to 1999 and 1996. The link to the dark web the kids who came missing and this was during when MySpace was allowing links to the dark web. The links to the dark web had found a 14-year-old on the hit list. A 14-year-old girl was killed in the locker room of her school. And when the girl that died, she died as a result of the constant meandering that she was doing, because the head middle school cheerleader was making fun of her. Her body was found a year later in 2005. A lot of the young kids were dying. And when the the very young kids the very young kids the very kids that had started coming up missing. And when another kid came up dead in the quarry another year later, in 2008, found with his throat slashed. All because he wound up going on the dark web looking for a hitman to take care of his older stepbrother, only to die immediately, snatched up, battered, bloodied, broken, and killed, and then dumped off in the quarry in town. And then another two kids. One was gunned down with a silencer equipped pistol. And when the very and then when the property value of his parents' house went down, his parents moved away, moved out of town. And when the very people who killed him killed another teenager, and focusing on that last kid, that was killed had been a 16-year-old girl in 2009 that was killed. She was killed by getting her skull crushed by an assailant. And when the cops reported the whole death, and when the kids that were coming up missing, kids that came up missing were the ones who were in fact the ones who had known the very people who were sent to off these kids. The kids that were killed were awarded back to their families dead. The 16-year-old girl was the last very last of the young kids that were killed. And then when Frank went in too deep, he came up missing and was found in his dorm room, throat slit, skull crushed. Every bit of what happened to those kids were the ones who were, in fact, the same methods used to kill those kids were used to kill Frank. And Frank found himself dead in his college dorm His sister mourned his death. And after Frank's death, a memorial was placed in his honor right outside the dorm house. And he was the last student living in that dorm house. That dorm house was shut down. And after the very bad things that happened to Frank was lauded as the bravest college kid. But years ago, Beth did the same thing in the 80s and in the 90s. Those chat forums, the same serial killer that showed up the same serial killer showed up to kill her. The same serial killer that killed Frank years later killed Beth 20 years ago. The 5 middle schoolers that was killed by the same serial killer had came up and ended up going and once those serial killers showed up, those same incidences, the same pattern of teenagers that died. The same serial killer killed Beth 2 decades ago. And every serial killing that has ever happened in Fort Lannister, Nebraska, the serial killer was on the run, was truly on the run. And the same serial killer that came up on the FBI's most wanted list. And the serial killer's name was in fact, of the matter of it was that in fact the same serial killer had ended up being none other than Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun was killing a bunch of teenagers in the 80s and in the 90s. And when the same serial killer wound up going through Fort Lannister, Nebraska, going through every year since 1980, after Scooter Braun was found, he was found, and then he was alleged to have killed Beth 20 years prior. And these kids had a lot of money on them. So he needed to kill only once every few years or so. Every few years. And then afterwards, he disappears. And the FBI was still looking for Scooter Braun. Scooter Braun was on the run. And then afterwards, blam, Scooter Braun had been higher on the FBI's most wanted list even further. After the alleged sightings of Scooter Braun in the Bay portion of Fort Lannister, Nebraska, he was finally caught and he was sentenced to prison. In 2010, Scooter Braun was alleged to have been arrested and the rampant chaos and after his arrest, the aftermath of his crimes, been all about the said ongoing, pending an investigation of 10 counts of his crimes, 2+ counts of first-degree murder. Scooter Braun was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences in prison. And still to this day, he was found guilty, and he was the very MySpace hitman and serial killer that was found on the dark web. And the links of his hitman business was removed. This has been the MySpace horror story. I hope you enjoyed.